Good afternoon, everyone. Almost nighttime. Welcome to another edition of the show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I get started, thank you guys so much for your views on my thoughts of the amazing promo between Edge and The Miz yesterday. Now, while it wasn't as good as AEW, I'm glad to see WWE is deciding let's make ourselves great with the promos as well as the action. And a good promo is very important. Also, fun news. I just got through seeing earlier today Laugh Out Loud channel featuring Kevin Hart and The Undertaker. That was entertaining. The ending was just as entertaining as the beginning. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's real fun to watch. And also, special lesson, stay in school. It's like The Rock says, I love you too, but go to class. So stay in school for those of you who are still in. But either way, let's get started with my list today. As we all know, today is the birthday of Captain Charisma, the instant classic Christian, or as he is known in other organizations like Impact and AEW, Christian Cage. And today, I am doing a special countdown of my favorite Christian Cage matches from AEW, TNA, as well as WWE. Fun fact before we get started, Christian is one of the couple of guys who have won a championship match on their first debut singles match. Fun fact, another person to do that, The Big Show in WCW. But let's get started today with my top favorite matches from Christian Cage. At number 10, we have Christian Cage versus Brian Myers, as he is known in Impact Wrestling. Some of you may remember him as Kurt Hawkins in WWE, but let's be honest. Impact Wrestling, as it's called now, is booking him much better than WWE. Really, I mean, you lose that many matches? Come on now. But either way, I was so happy when him and Zack Ryder won at the opening match at WrestleMania 35 against the Revival. I was just so happy about that. I mean, we needed to see Kurt win something, but he should have left a long time ago if y'all were going to use him better while WWE just didn't had him on a losing streak like that. But either way, it was a match for the Impact Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, and Mike Myers stole Christian's move, the spear, actually made famous by Edge. But either way, great match. Check it out. Moving on to number 9. This one was actually really good. And let me make this disclaimer. I'm not really saying necessarily one's better than the other. This is just a couple of matches that come to mind. You might think something else is number 1. So just let me know in the comments what you think and what you like best. But at number 9, I have Christian versus Randy Orton at Summerslam 2011. It was a great 2011 had some good matches, including the main event. But this match was also great. It was for the World Heavyweight Championship. And of course, this whole rivalry started because Christian's World Heavyweight title reign was short-lived. So he came up with crooked situations to get himself to become champion by disqualification. I actually reviewed Money in the Bank 2011 when this happened. So at SummerSlam, it was a no-holds-barred match, and Christian had a great showing. But he sealed his fate when he spat on Randy Orton before attempting the concerto. And that's when Christian really got destroyed. Before Damian Priest was doing the wide eyes out of anger, Randy Orton was the type you just don't spit on. Even though it was a losing effort by Christian, it was still a good match that he was a part of. Moving on. This match here at number 8 is Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega for the Impact Wrestling Championship. And it was a match that took place on the first episode of AEW Rampage, the same night that CM Punk made his debut. But I really enjoyed that one, and I would include the one from All Out, and I did a review on All Out. However, Christian didn't win that match, so I try to pick good matches for the most part that the wrestlers won. And this was a match that he would defeat Kenny Omega to become, or should I say, Kenny Nobies, as they used to call him. And he would win that match and become the Impact Wrestling champion. However, at All Out, despite the match being great, as almost all AEW matches are, Kenny came out victorious at the end. But it was still a great match, and the Impact one for the Impact Championship was great. Of course, Christian didn't get both titles, just that one. Moving on to number 7, Christian and his partner Edge versus the Hardy Boys at No Mercy 1999. Now, some of you have seen my review on No Mercy 1999 last month in October. And I have to say, that match was awesome. The thing about that match is both parties really showed us something. Both Edge, Christian, Matt, and Jeff, both of those guys have special highlights about themselves singly. Not double team, but both Christian did something spectacular, Edge did something, Matt did something, Jeff always does stuff in ladder matches, so you will never be disappointed when watching him. But I just got to say, all 4 guys went out and gave everything they had. The only thing that made the match a little annoying was listening to Jerry talk about how much he loved Terry and puppies, and just got on my nerves. But either way, it was a great match. Great, awesome match. If you have not seen that ladder match from No Mercy, you don't know what you're missing. You got to check it out. Of course, Edge and Christian were not victorious, but they were the favorites going in. And after that match, the next night, they both would shake hands with the Hardys, and both 4 guys would end up getting amazing respect by the wrestling crowd. Moving on to number 6. A ladder match at Extreme Rules 2011 between Christian and Alberto Del Rio. Now, this is a match that started because Edge at the time had to relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship due to injury and was forced to retire. So his best friend Edge and Del Rio, who Edge defeated at WrestleMania 27, the match that Edge opened up, as I mentioned in the other review yesterday. The match was between Del Rio and Christian. And it was a great showing. It was a great singles ladder match, and it was just awesome. And the fact that Edge came out ironically to support Christian later on. And it was just so well deserved for Christian and well earned for him, best friend of Edge, to take the torch that Edge had passed. And in my opinion, that match was not necessarily passing up the torch, but a torch given from friend to friend, because both of those guys were well experienced, and Christian had been a main event star in the other organization of TNA, but came back to WWE to finally be a main event star and not just a mid-card intercontinental star. And make no mistake about it, he was still good then, but that was the main event championship, and he finally won it. Unfortunately, he lost it a couple of days later to Randy Orton, but that's what started that rivalry, but it was still a great ladder match, so check that out. Next, at number 5, we have Rhino versus Christian in an 8-mile street fight at Bound for Glory 2006. This match, I did not know Christian was the heel, and of course Rhino was the favorite because it was in Rhino's hometown of Detroit, Michigan. I wonder what kind of ovation Kevin Nash got that night if he was there. But either way, it was a great match and it was brutal. They fought all over the arena and around the crowd. It was like Peter Griffin versus the Chicken. And this now Christian was a heel, of course, and I could tell that when he started spitting on the 8 Mile sign, which I wonder is Eminem from. That makes me ask, is Eminem from Detroit? Because 8 Mile is, you know. But either way, he spat on the 8 Mile sign, which was intended to offend the Detroit crowd. Another thing we saw that was very interesting was Rhino driving in Zimbori, which gave me nostalgia of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Just saying. But either way, Christian won that match by taking stacks of metal material and taking a chair, stacking it on top, stacking the metal material on Rhino, and then smashing him with a chair. Now, you want to hear something funny? If metal stacked on top of you and crushing you is bad, imagine smoking metal and putting metal into your lungs. Thank you for the inspirational lesson, Biggie Langston. Don't smoke. But either way, moving on, I just want to have a little funny moment there. That was a great match that Christian would end up winning in front of Rhino's hometown. So, of course, the Detroit crowd was not happy, but it was still a great match. And it's a miracle that Christian was standing after being pile driven head first through a table. TNA was the next second brutal thing to ECW. Moving on, speaking of extreme matches, you have the Monster Abyss with James Mitchell versus Christian Cage in a steel cage lockdown match at Lockdown 2000 and I believe 6. The match was great. It was for the NWA Heavyweight Championship, but it was a match that was built up to be very personal because Abyss went after Christian's family, his wife specifically, and went into his home and darn near drowned him to death. So that match was very personal and it was very entertaining to watch. That's how you build something up. You make it a little personal sometimes. And they built that match up where we really wanted to see Christian beat the crap out of Abyss for doing what he did from a scripted standpoint. And there were a lot of great highlights of that match, including Christian doing his signature splash from the top of the cage onto Abyss. But that was not enough to keep Abyss down. But what would be enough to keep Abyss down is the thumbtacks. The thumbtacks, which he had 2 bags. The first bag I knew was tats. The second bag I thought would be glass because he does that sometimes. But they put the thumbtacks down both times and Christian powerbomb Abyss through the tacks the first time. The second time he did an unprettier. Right on the face! Right on the face! I love that. If you guys saw that, and you can catch it on YouTube, by the way, you can catch most of those matches on YouTube, Impact Wrestling channel mostly. It was right on the face. I love when he said that. TNA commentary back in the day was awesome. Not saying they're not good now. I'm just saying back in the day, man. Whew. God, that was awesome. Marillo in NXT was also good, but that one right there, that was the bomb. Needless to say, Christian won the match, retaining the championship, but he did something unwise and went back into the ring and attempted an attack on James Mitchell, which would go unsuccessful as Abyss bashed him with the chain and choked him like he was lynching him. But Christian would get revenge later on the next month at TNA Sacrifice, winning the championship, should I say retaining the championship, putting James Mitchell also through thumbtacks. And to me, I must say, Abyss, to me, was a mixture of Kane and Mankind, in my personal opinion. Moving forward, that sign at TNA Sacrifice with Shrek and James Mitchell as the donkey was hilarious. Moving forward, Lockdown is at number 4. Moving on to number 3, Samoa Joe versus Christian Cage at TNA Destination X 2007. Now, right around that time, fun fact, I had just started watching TNA Impact. I was over someone's house. My mother was working at a home, and we had cable at one time. And when we had cable, I was curious about something because I always thought WWE Velocity was still on television. So I went one day, it was nighttime, it was 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, and I was going to Spike TV because I thought Velocity was supposed to come on. And this is 2007. I didn't have cable that much, but I had just started having it for a season. And so I thought Velocity must be on. When actuality, it was a repeat of Thursday night's TNA Impact. And I was shocked to know that some people were there that I knew, including Christian, who was starting a feud with Samoa Joe. And that match at Destination X would be awesome. By that time, I had just started watching, and that match was awesome. I must say that entrance by Samoa Joe was awesome. Paying tribute to the tribe, the culture, really cool. But the match in itself was great. It was very epic. Of course, no one expected Christian to kick out of the Muscle Buster, nor did we expect. Many people were happy when Joe kicked out of the Unprettier, but of course, there was not to be any interferences, and Christian did come up with some underhanded tactics because he was heel at the time to win the match. Being roll up through using the ropes to do a roll up and retain the championship. But man, still, great match. Funny fact, whoever thought that roll up would be the most annoying move of 2021? But either way, excellent match. You got to check it out. It's also on YouTube. At number 2, we have Edge and Christian versus the Dudley Boyz versus the Hardy Boyz at WrestleMania 2000. Now, this match was also part of the countdown for his partner Edge, which I did a review on last month. But in any event, the match was just awesome, and we saw some highlights from Christian as he flew from the top of the ladder onto Matt Hardy and Bubba Rhino Dudley. I like to call him Rhino Dudley because of his reputation at the time. But in any event, it was just an amazing match. And an amazing match in which Christian and Edge won. And of course, they won both the ladder match, the TLC match at SummerSlam, as well as the rematch TLC from WrestleMania 17. So they won all of them. All trilogies were won by Edge and Christian, but that one was one of my favorites. And at number 1, you can't talk about an instant classic without talking about Christian Cage versus Jeff Jarrett at Against All Odds, I believe 2006 maybe. Either way, great match. Now, I gotta say, there was a part where Jeff Jarrett had Christian in the sharpshooter that we all thought Earl Hebner was going to ring the bell, and Christian held his hand. I'm like, Earl, people are going to think you're a heel referee. But that position has been given to Scott Armstrong as the crooked referee. But either way, the match was just 5 stars. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. And that was the match that would see Christian Cage win his first World Heavyweight Championship. Or should I say the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Despite actions from Gail Kim, Christian still came in and won the match. I don't know if Gail Kim and Jeff Jarrett were partners, like him and Karen are just not to be confused with the cuckoo woman. There is a woman named Karen Jarrett, believe it or not, who was once married to Kurt Angle. But either way, I don't know what their relationship was, but it was a great match, and I truly enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. So, what do you think about this list? What was your favorite match? Let me know in the comment section below, and just let us know what you think of this video. But for now, that's all the time we have. I'm your host, insert name of person, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary on all things wrestling. So, until next time, hope you enjoyed the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you Friday. Have a good week.